This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge.
Hi, friends. Welcome to this week's pod, the show for the week of January 19th, 2026. And we're recording a day late. Sorry, everybody. I've been under the weather. So if you are just listening, you can hear it in my voice. So this is going to be one of those episodes. We got a lot to talk about. Phil, you made some excellent show notes today. And all the topics I wanted to talk about, you put in there with great detail. So we're going to run through that. We got some Star Wars news. We got some construction updates. I guess the only time we get construction updates is when Bio fuels up his helicopter and is able to take pictures. I think that's the only time we really get some good ones, but we got some good ones.
Yep.
Got some good ones. And what else? We got one other thing. We've got some like Lucasfilm. Are we going to get into a Star Wars debate?
I was thinking we need to set like a timer or something that like Jason gets 5 minutes of ranting about Dave Filoni and then, yours up. That's it. We got to move on.
I'm not going to rant. I'm not going to rant. And then one of my favorite things this week was Len Testa on the Touring Plans YouTube channel posted a interview he did in his hometown's local news about the end of summer vacations, the cost of Disney all throughout the year, which is I found really interesting. He showed his spreadsheets live on the air, which is fantastic. So we enjoyed that. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about, and of course our DBC engagement from last week. So Phil. Before we start, I do have to make a confession. So if you are a viewer on YouTube, apparently the last 2 weeks I was wearing the same shirt and the same sweater. Like this is not like my Monday outfit. Like it just happened to be that way. So I was sitting at work in my home office, what you see here in the background, and I was on a conference earlier and I looked up and I saw what I was wearing. I'm like, I'm wearing the same exact thing I was wearing for the last two shows. So now I'm wearing my Lion King Spirit jersey, courtesy of Wheezy. So thank you for that.
Part of the official Disney Dad collection.
Yes, of course. So yes, you are not seeing me in the same outfit for 3 weeks in a row this time. So I was not planning on it. I was like, this is an emergency changing situation. So all right, Phil, what's in the news this week? Let's start talking about that.
Yeah, so we were going back and forth if we want to mention it or not. I figured I'd mention it in passing that there have been a number of articles coming out, and specifically the LA Times had a story that it is expected the new CEO for Disney will be named in the next month. Also has been posted that their quarterly earnings call will be on February 2nd, Monday, February 2nd. So I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of leaks out maybe right before that, and then they kind of officially announce it during the earnings or something like that. So that's about 2 weeks away. So the articles didn't really have a lot of new information or anything. It just seems like we knew it was going to come in this first quarter. Sounds like it's going to be soon. And then
did we ever know it was the first quarter or it was just early next year was the language or early 2026?
I think it said early 2026 and people assumed it meant our first quarter within the first quarter. And that we obviously are within the first quarter. So it's coming soon. And, it still seems like Josh is the front runner, but there's also throwing out the idea of co-CEOs, but with him and Dana Walden. So we'll see. But
I mean, if Lucasfilm could have co-heads, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. The other thing that actually worked out well for us that we are a day late is that today news came out from Universal that the Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift is going to be coming to Universal Orlando. Looks to be kind of the same ride system that is out in Hollywood. It's replacing Rip Ride Rocket. It is they're already working on it. They've been working on it for a while, like Universal does, where they start working on stuff before they announce it. They announced it will open sometime in 2027. And around the same time, or also within 2027, the current Fast and Furious ride Supercharged will close. I think the more interesting thing is what will take over that place. The roller coaster, it'll feature 360-degree drifting vehicles and a 170-foot vertical spike. So for you that don't know
I don't know what that is.
What a spike is on roller coasters. If you've ever ridden Hagrid's, the spike is where you kind of go up and there's no like top to it, and then you just fall backwards. So
okay.
in some ways, the top of Expedition Everest, that's like a spike, but obviously it's themed into the mountain. If it was out in the open, it would be a spike. So just to give you an idea on height, though, the highest part of Velocicoaster is 155 feet. So this is 15 feet higher than that. So you're going to be
you're up there.
You're up there a little bit. So we'll see. The only question I had coming out of this is for you, Jason. Does a new roller coaster like this with new ride vehicles and stuff, does that move the needle in your desire to visit Universal, or is it just kind of like it's there? If I'm there, I might ride it, but it's not really motivating me.
It motivates me none at all. I don't want to sound like mean to people that are like Universal fans. Like this would be like for people that love coasters, like they want to go check this out, right? It's a new coaster at their favorite park. I still like going to Disney more, and I always get time crunch. Like we talked about this last week, my, tentative vacation for this summer. It's like, okay, we got 6 days, but I want to add 2 more so I can spend more time on property. Like you're asking me to spend more time like off property when I'm down there. So it's not gonna happen until like the cost of the tickets go down. Like I want to go to Epic Universe. Like I really want to go. It's just I got to find time to do that, right? Like, and it's got to be not cost. It doesn't want to cost me $800 to go to the park to check it out for my whole family, type of thing. So, I'm happy for the people that love these coasters. I would love if I was down there and had enough time, or if I was doing like maybe a down and back and like hop over, for like a weekend rather than a single day, maybe something like that. But like for our family vacation, probably not at this time.
Yep. So I'm interested in it. I'm interested in hearing reviews of like how the drifting works and stuff. Is it like effective, or is it just like nauseating? But always interested in new coasters, and we do kind of have Universal in mind for the summer of 27. That's what my oldest daughter wants to do for like her graduation present. Well, she specifically wants to do Epic Universe, but I figure if we're there, we'll probably do more than one day at Universal. So keeping an eye on it. It's just I'm more interested in the tech. I've never seen a Fast and Furious movie, so the IP does nothing for me. But like, cool ride. If the roller coaster is a good standalone roller coaster, I'll be interested in riding it. So.
Okay.
Next news item is first of our Star Wars news items. Disney announced that they are expanding the timeline at Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland only. So I will say this if you haven't heard this before, just to be clear, this isn't happening down in Florida. As of now, this is only out in California. But beginning April 29th, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland Park will expand its timeline to include more Star Wars eras, meaning original trilogy characters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That would be the error they are adding. So they've added Darth Vader, Leia Organa, Han Solo, and Luke Skywalker will arrive at Batuu, joining other characters that are roaming the Outer Rim outpost. They're kind of splitting the land into 2, where sort of the marketplace area that was more controlled by the First Order, that's going to be original trilogy timeline-ish. And then the camp part where Rise of the Resistance is will stay as sequel trilogy. So that's where Rey will meet and stuff like that. They'll still be over there. One of the cool things they've announced is that musical selections from the original Star Wars movies by John Williams will be played throughout the land versus just kind of the new music that was created for the land. So you get
the best part in my opinion.
You'll get all like kind of the classic Star Wars music going on. They've also updated the storyline for Oga's. Instead of it being kind of a newly opened bar or newly reopened bar, it's actually going to be open for a while. In the era of the Galactic Civil War, proprietor Oga Gara only recently opened this watering hole, which is already becoming a popular spot for the intergalactic travelers. So it's going to be kind of set during the Galactic War.
Is this just like text on a website somewhere or like in your app, basically?
To tell you these types of information? Yeah. I have no idea. Like, we don't know the details of it. Apparently, Oga's is going to be closed, though, for at least several weeks while they make updates to it. So there's going to be like physical.
Then.
Yeah, there's going to be physical transformations. We don't know the details of it yet, though. As far as we know, other than the already announced change to Smuggler's Run of the new Mandalorian and Grogu missions, the rides, like Rise of the Resistance, isn't changing. But it's really more just expanding the timeline. Supposedly Darth Vader is going to be taking over for where Kylo Ren was, and Kylo Ren is now going to be meeting in where Darth Vader met in Tomorrowland. So they're kind of replacing that. So I think they are trying to avoid characters that literally weren't alive at the same time interacting.
Makes sense.
But So they're expanding the timeline, but it's not going to be like a free for all. So even though I think 99% of guests wouldn't have minded that, but they're still trying to keep some integrity, I guess, like that. So
That's fair.
Several questions for you, Jason. Okay. Overall, do you think this is a good thing? Do you think it's enough to kind of revive the area and create more interest and satisfy guests? Or do you think it's like too little too late?
Is this a good thing? Yes, right? Because there's super popular characters. People should be able to meet them. And it doesn't make sense that you can't meet Han Solo or Luke Skywalker in like a multi-billion-dollar...
In the only Star Wars lands.
Right. So,
yeah.
That makes sense. And that's a good thing. I don't think you're destroying the story whatsoever, right?
Right.
Is it enough to satisfy guests? Or you use the word revive, and that's not in the show notes. So to me, I don't think the lands need to be revived. I think universally all big and moderate Star Wars fans loves these lands. Essentially, there's complaints, obviously, and they have wishes and wants. But like people still go in there with a big smile on their face for the most part, right?
For the most part, yeah.
So I don't think it needs to be revived. Like these are dead spaces in the parks. But is it enough to make it like super popular? No. Because it's still going to be a random place that's not part of lore, that has, can I say unpopular characters? I mean, I don't think they're unpopular, but they're not nearly as popular as
they're not the tier 1 or S tier,
right? Yes,
or whatever.
Yeah, you could put it that way. Because I mean, you see a lot of girls dressed up as Rey, right?
I was going to say, I'm glad they're not totally just changing it, that they are still going to have the sequel characters there, because there are a lot of, like you said, little girls that dress up like Rey, and I've seen like really cute meetings when they meet Rey and stuff like that. So that can still happen, but they're obviously bringing back some of the more popular characters.
But I mean, like, what is the ultimate goal for this land, right? I mean, they completely, missed the point of all. Now, granted, we've had this conversation a lot. I think it's incredibly difficult, or if not nearly impossible, to make a good Star Wars land, right?
Yeah,
because what do you make a land out of? Because Star Wars is basically space battles. You can't make a land that is a Star Destroyer. You can make a great ride that's a Star Destroyer, but you can't, or Death Star, like Tatooine, generic, desert town, right? Or generic snow bunker, or generic jungle. Like it doesn't lend itself like a Harry Potter land, which has iconic locations. Yeah. So that itself is pretty difficult. But whether it's Tatooine, whether it's Endor, or anything else, that's what it should have been. Like what millions upon millions upon millions of people and generations have lived through, versus the new movies that didn't do very well. They did very well, but did not have any legs whatsoever. I don't think I don't think they can get to an epic level where it's like, this is absolutely amazing, right? It's just too many Band-Aids. However, it's always nice when they make changes. Mm-hmm. So I'd be very happy with this. I'd be happy if they can change, like add in some of like the Millennium Falcon missions to like some like OT era like stories. Like you're riding the Millennium Falcon, you're saving Luke on the from A New Hope in the ride to the Death Star, or go through the Millennium Falcon's run of the second Death Star in Return of the Jedi. Like that would be really cool. I mean, it fits nothing into the land, but it'd just be an amazing experience. So I don't think they'll ever make another Star Wars land. I don't think so. I think
it would be interesting, because they were originally, that was planned to be one of the lands that was going to go into what's now going to be Disney Adventure World in Paris, the second park there. There was supposed to be a smaller version of Galaxy's Edge. So it'll be, but then they backed off that, and they're doing other things, Lion King and stuff like that. But it will be interesting to see if they build another Star Wars land and what it is. I mean, I'm assuming if they ever do, it won't be a copy of Galaxy's Edge. It'll be something different.
Well, we'll talk about when they could potentially do that in the next segment. But the last thing I have is I'm just disappointed that they're not doing this Disney World.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why, because they've got all the costumes down there. It's not like, oh, we only have one Darth Vader costume for like the parks. We got to keep it for Disneyland. So I don't understand why. I don't know if they're like too afraid to do this, or is it just like somebody's pet project and that's all the funding that they have for it, for new actors and actresses?
Yeah, I don't know why they're not necessarily not doing it at both. Maybe they're going to start out west, and if it's incredibly popular, they'll bring it out east too. I know they need to do more changes out west because they have the more repeat customers, so they need to refresh things. Like of the two, that needs it more. Usually also easier to find more face character actors being closer to Hollywood and stuff like that. So I think if you were only going to do it at one, it makes sense why it's Disneyland. But yeah, do it at both. Bring it to Hollywood too. I mean, it's not like I know it's like they don't like to change the Haunted Mansion because people want the original version of the Haunted Mansion for their once in a lifetime trip.
Yep.
But I would think most of the once in a lifetime Star Wars fans would want to see Luke and not over Rey, right? So it's like, I don't know.
But I mean, like, what I would love to have back is the Imperial March, even though it had like Captain Phasma and stuff like that. But it's still like, I want to see stormtroopers marching in like unison, like down like Sunset or whatever. Like, I want to see it, and they don't have that stuff anymore. And they got the, obviously the stormtroopers walking around, but like the parade was really cool. They used to have Darth Vader kind of come out of Animation Courtyard and onto the stage, and they would do a whole bunch of different things. That was absolutely amazing. They don't do that anymore. Like,
now they keep it all within Galaxy's Edge, other than Star Tours.
Why not do that again? I don't know. Well, I mean, like once Monsters Land is made, and what's maybe in the future if another IP land goes in somewhere else in the park, that they should have like these quote unquote cavalcades, like little parades, and march into the land and just draw people into the land. Like the lands kind of invade like the normal Hollywood area and then kind of go back. I would love to see more of that kind of stuff in the parks, and that's what I miss. But yeah, they should do it in Hollywood Studios, I guess.
Yep. And then the next Star Wars related story is that it was rumored a little bit ago, I think we talked about it, but now it is official that Kathleen Kennedy has stepped down as head of Lucasfilm. She and George Lucas's protege, Dave Filoni, along with exec Lin-Wen Brennan, are going to be co-heads and take over Lucasfilm. So we have new leaders of that. So now for every bad thing that comes out, people can no longer blame it entirely on Kathleen Kennedy, even though it's definitely not. The bad things aren't her fault, and the good things she doesn't get any credit for. But now there will be new leadership in that, and I think it's going to be interesting. So just a little bit of background. Kennedy had already spent decades producing movies such as Indiana Jones and E.T. when she joined Lucasfilm in 2012, taking on the role of co-chair alongside of George Lucas. And then she was elevated to the sole head of the company just a few months later after Disney paid $4 billion for the brand, and that at that time George Lucas exited the company.
I mean, good point. A strong point is George Lucas elevated her. Like that was he handpicked her to take his position. And I've done a lot of like Star Wars YouTube watching in the last week since this news broke, and trying to see like what is everybody's opinions. And I've watched some of like the really I don't know, clickbaity, rage bait kind of stuff, and quickly turn it off. It's all just, it's raging at Kath. Even though she's gone, they're still raging at her. Yeah. I've seen some of the more like uber, like Star Wars theory, right? Some people hate him. Some people love him. He's got millions of followers on YouTube. So he shares a great voice in the Star Wars community. And he's like, look, he was happy that she's gone just because Star Wars, I think everybody can say that Star Wars is basically in the ground. Like the IP has never been at a lowest point that it is right now. And so he's happy that she's gone, so change can happen.
Right. And
I kind of agree with him that now that Filoni has been elevated into her position, at least on the creative side, I don't think anybody's optimistic, but they're willing to give him a chance to see what he has. But like, he's already proven that like some of his things weren't very good, but like, you don't know did he have support? Did he have enough money? Was all the money taken away from Ahsoka and put into Andor season 2 because it cost billions of dollars?
Right.
Billions of dollars,
hundreds
but lots
of millions,
of money.
So, yeah.
But like, so we'll see. And as a creative head, hopefully he's not writing and directing, because hopefully
that's one of the
that, right?
That's what I think a lot of people are hoping, because I think obviously not everyone loves him, but I think for the most part people do believe he loves the product and knows it and knows the lore. He's created a lot of good and interesting characters and things like that. It's just especially live and I think he's had more success in what he's done directing animated films and animated shows. I think live action, he's kind of proven to not be a great director.
He's not a great director. He's not a great writer. The issue is a lot of people have like, these are like massive Star Wars lore nerds. These are the people that grew up in their formative childhood years, like on the Clone Wars, right? That's their favorite stuff, right? And one of the major complaints I have, and I don't share this, I'm ambivalent to it, but I agree with it. He likes to create characters that break canon, like Ahsoka. Ahsoka died in the originally Clone Wars, and then like in the last season he brought her back, or in Rebels brought her back, and like Darth Vader would have done something about that during like the rebellion. Whereas like if she died in the Clone Wars, it makes sense that we never saw her again. But now that she's alive and we never saw her again through all the movies, and then she pops back up like in the Mandoverse.
Yeah, it's like, the characters that he likes, he brings back and comes up with reasons to bring them back, but that just further complicates things. Like
it's a mess.
Same thing happened with Maul and everything. So
well, and then also in Ahsoka season 2, he wants to bring in like Force gods and the Mother, and like all these like really weird things that like.
Which, if you were into the show and you watch like the Clone Wars and stuff, they're really cool, but it's definitely out there. It's not that
I don't know if they're cool, but it's a personal preference.
Yeah, but the average casual Star Wars fan was not going to care.
Well, I mean, like the whole mother, father, one is going to be Anakin, whatever, all that other stuff. Like that was like 3 episodes of Clone Wars, like arc, right? Like, and it just completely. Another thing that let's get away from Filoni for a second. Back to Kennedy leaving. A lot of things, I don't think she ever understood Star Wars, and that was it. She's I don't think anybody would disagree with her prowess at producing movies and making sure they hit the big screen. She's done it with all the major talent in Hollywood, but I don't think she ever understood Star Wars. And there's a lot of things that she's always said about like, we don't have comic books, we don't have all this other stuff, we don't have any like other stories, source material. Yes, that's the word she used. Source material to build movies. Where George Lucas says, look, I have like writing treatments for all the sequels. Yeah. I've got all these books and all these comics. So they have plenty of stuff to like build Star Wars into the future. And then I don't know. I guess she had like some kind of vision and she wanted to see it. So the one thing that I'm happy that Filoni is taking over is he has passion for Star Wars. Right, like and he knows he's worked with George Lucas, so he understands where he's coming from and whatever. Like, so he has the experience and the knowledge and the passion. I just hope that he just doesn't have, he doesn't take advantage of the position and be like, this is going to be my Star Wars. I'm going to build it the way I want to do it, and he has mixed, results when he does like that, so hopefully they can hire some really good writers. He can point him in the right direction and make sure the brand is healed rather than getting his hands dirty.
Yeah. And he can be good about like, cause if the directors are focusing on just their story, he can kind of make sure things interconnect correctly and stuff like that and oversee that. So that's kind of best case scenario. Hopefully that is what happened and we'll see. But like, I'm kind of with you that I think I feel like Kathleen got too much of the blame when I think a lot of the blame was on the Disney execs who are forcing certain things and stuff. Maybe. And she didn't get enough credit for the good things. But I do think it was time for a change. I think they're at the point where it needed some fresh life and some new direction. I think there are reports they're going to kind of, obviously the stuff that's already made, Starfighter and Mandalorian and Grogu are still happening and stuff like that, but they're kind of maybe going to take a step back and reset on what they actually want to do going forward. His reports, Filoni's Mando universe combo film is going to be shelved or delayed.
Thank goodness.
Now they might actually do another trilogy that comes after this. I don't know. They're kind of like rethinking everything. So hopefully, I think that's a good thing. We'll see what comes out of it.
The one thing I'm happy is if his movies are killed and Ahsoka is just done, because they did my boy Thrawn dirty. Like, I read those books when they came out back in the 90s, and the Thrawn trilogy is a fantastic Star Wars story. And I think I've said this, I don't know how many billions of times on this show, that like, take those 3 books, make them into a trilogy. That was your sequel trilogy. You didn't have to do anything. And when they were writing the character Thrawn, whether it was in Rebels or in Ahsoka season 1, they never consulted Timothy Zahn on anything about his characters. Filoni just made it up or made his own character. And I thought that was almost criminal, because the Timothy Zahn novels were New York Times bestsellers. It was his character, and I think that was kind of icky what they did. Anyway, the fact that they're gone, maybe that saves a Thrawn story for something else, so that we can kind of like, all right, we're just going to put this on the side. Now, what we were saying before about a new Star Wars land, right? Somewhere. The only way that happens, Phil, is if there's a new trilogy somewhere and it just churns money. It's like, Star Wars is back. It's in the popular zeitgeist. Kids are buying Star Wars merch by the handfuls. They got Halloween costumes all over the place, and that has legs. So like all 3 movies come out, and people are still wanting to dress up as whoever the new characters are, right?
Yeah.
That's the only time that's doing it. Now, Phil, my question for you is, if we have new leadership at Lucasfilm, and if you were Dave Filoni, would you like, or as a fan, would you like to see one of these, I think 4 directions, I think I've written them out, but they're not in front of me, of where to take the Star Wars franchise?
Okay.
Do you think they should create a new saga, whether it's trilogies or just more movies, that take place relatively soon after the current, Rise of Skywalker, so 10 years, 15 years, whatever the duration is afterwards, and they just start from there? Would you like to see them go like 1,000 years into the future and create new stories there? So everything that was in the past is kind of like legend. There's no ties anymore. We're not like Yoda's not popping up like in, whatever, right? So it's just like clean break, same continuum, but just into the future. Would you prefer them to go into the distant past and kind of fill out some of like the legends stuff, like early Jedi, Knights of the New Republic, that type of stuff? Or would you like to see them completely scrap everything and do a recast and a retelling of the whole Skywalker saga, kind of like how HBO is doing with Harry Potter? But movie or TV doesn't matter. That doesn't make, whatever the medium is, it doesn't make a difference.
So of those options, I hope options 2 and 3 happen, but as like television shows or something.
Okay.
For the major movies, I think the most successful thing, and I think what could be good, is you just keep going. So you go
super far into the future and do a clean break, or like just soon after?
Just soon after.
Okay.
I think you just keep, because I think Skywalkers is what people know, and you have to have some relation to that. And I also think if they do another 3 movies, that it can kind of become like 2 groups of 6 and kind of separate things a little bit, but it's still connected to that. I think that would be the most success as far as the major trilogy being released as a movie. You could do other standalone things or something like that. You could go into the future, go into the past as a Disney Plus series.
Just explore like lore in
yeah,
a TV show.
But okay. I think for the major motion pictures, you kind of stick around that Skywalker timeline.
I think they need a clean break. And if you asked me 2 weeks ago, go super far in the future, whether it's 200 years, 10,000 years, I don't know. It doesn't make a difference. It's the Star Wars universe. It's going to be the Force. It's going to be Jedi. It's going to be lightsaber. But we're not like, hey, here are the remnants and the descendants of Darth Vader or Kylo Ren or Luke Skywalker, and just drag all that story in. Like, I just want a clean break. But I've been thinking about this since this news was announced. And there is like to me, I think there's a very decent chance that if you restart the whole Star Wars saga again, not like beat for beat, but like take all of the plot lines. Just start at episode 1 again, but maybe not with kids, but like as a teenager type of thing, and keep consistency with timeline. So like Obi-Wan is not like an old man in like 10 years after the last time you saw him, and like, kind of fix all the, clean up all the mess that they kind of just added on and redo the whole thing. I think people could get really down with that, because it's really been a very long time. It's been, when did season 8 of Clone Wars come out? That was right when Disney Plus got announced. So that was like 6 years ago, right?
Yeah.
I think so. It's right around there.
Yep.
No one really cares about the sequel trilogy. I mean, when I say no one, the vast majority of people have basically forgotten about it. Or it's not relevant in culture, right? That type of thing. And I think the public could really get behind redoing of Star Wars, and like, it doesn't have to be super serious like Andor style, but like they can make a fun thing, but like really flesh it out with a modern studio, good writers, that sort of thing. Do you think that would, let me ask you this, since that's my preference right now, do you think that would fail hard at this point?
I think so. I think they're so scared anyway to recast any roles. Maybe
it's a shame, really.
They probably learned the wrong lesson from Solo.
Yeah, that was a good movie. I like Solo.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, I'm not saying I'm opposed to doing it way in the future, but I think we're a ways away from doing it.
Too soon.
Yeah, I think maybe, I mean, Mark Hamill's still alive and stuff like that. Like, I don't know.
Mark Hamill has said that he wouldn't mind if he was recasted. Like,
I think recast him, but for new stories. I don't know if he wants them redoing what he's done.
I think he'd be down for it. if you ask me, because then he could always be cast as old Luke Skywalker when they eventually get to him, when he's like, you could build up a better sequel trilogy. Like, to me, I think if you redo a recasting, you can rewrite the sequel trilogy at that point and just wipe the slate clean. I think that's the only way you can quote unquote retcon the sequel trilogy for a lot of people that are calling for it. I mean, you could right now say, oh, they don't count, and then you start making 3 more movies. Yeah. But this way, you don't have to like anger people about that kind of, and maybe smart people in the business can relearn what Star Trek kind of fumbled, or at least try to do that with like an alternative timeline type of thing.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I think more of what if anything, people would want films that came right after Return of the Jedi, and you recast the main characters for like the further adventures of Luke Skywalker and stuff like that. I think that's what people would be down for.
That'd be fun. That'd be
more
fun.
Than redoing what's already been done.
Do you hear that, Phil? Do you hear that?
What?
That's your alarm going off. We've been talking about Star Wars too.
Oh, okay.
So we have to move on.
All right. All right. The last news topic is the end of summer vacation, ? So this relates to what Jason was talking about earlier. Len Testa did an interview, and then he also covered it on this week's Disney Dish. And that's where I got the charts from, because he put them in the show notes for the Disney Dish. What he was doing as part of the story was to go through. It came out like around the discounts that are coming out this coming the summer, and how they're basically the best discounts that have been around for outside of some COVID ones for about 15 years or something like that.
I don't remember the COVID ones. What were the COVID ones that were so good?
They were like right when it reopened, they were giving you like buy 3 days, get 3 days free and stuff. It was like, it was like a very short period of time. And it was like right when they first
was opened. It like the month it reopened?
Exactly. It was like, these are starting January and they go on sale like tomorrow type thing. It was like right away. Like there was no like notice about it or anything like that. But basically the way he was trying to say that the reason why is like, well, why do they need to discount summer? Isn't that when everyone goes on vacation and that sort of thing? And that used to be the most expensive time, or one of the most expensive times to go to Disney. And he did a lot of data to kind of say summer vacation, at least as far as vacationing to Disney, is kind of dead. And what he looked at, he went back to 2013 and looked at the price of an All-Stars room relative to the most expensive one, which was either during spring break or Christmas. And it kind of showed in 2013, there was a big, not all the way up to like Christmas, but a big spike for all of the summer months, basically from mid-June to mid-August. But if you look at that now, that spike's not there. It's relatively low. It's not the lowest. It's not like, the first week of January or something like that, but it's kind of just an average price, or even towards the lower end now for all of summer. He found the break point seemed to be around 2018, where they actually, beginning of June, it was still high, but then once you got to July and August, it was low. So it seems like, summer vacation as being the popular time to go to Disney ended around 2018, 2019. And that's why we're seeing the big discounts now. And I think it's probably for a variety of reasons. He was speculating more people are homeschooling now and things like that. I think people just got tired of the heat.
I think it's a lot of different things, right? So, first of all, the way Len is tracking this is basically purely on hotel room costs, right? So he's assuming the lower the cost, the more quote unquote desperate Disney is to fill it. I might use the word desperate, or the more
trouble they have filling it or something.
Yes,
like that,
right. The more they need to get more butts in beds, right? So, I think it's multiple. I think COVID really opened up a lot of people's eyes and changed the way people do vacations. I think more people are less concerned about taking their kids out of school. Like when I was growing up, and even, before I had school age children, take them a week out of school. It's like, you can't do that. Like, a lot of teachers were like, oh, you take them out a week in school, that really impacts their whole school year and they fall behind. You can never make up for it. And I always kind of thought that seems kind of silly, because my wife's a middle school teacher. She never thought that way. But then after COVID, everybody's like, yep, we're going right now, because this is the best time to go, and et cetera, et cetera. So I think you are absolutely correct. It did change people's habits, and I think also the heat, because now people have options where they're not scared to go in the fall. They're like, why should we put up with the heat? And if you remember, anytime I talk about my last trip, it was 118 degrees, or felt like 118 degrees, and it really can, ruin your vacation too when it's like that. But I think this was fascinating, Phil. And you can kind of look at some of the points. You've got race weekend, you've got spring breaks, You've got basically what's that? I'm looking at the wrong color on the chart here. It's a spike right up around spring break, and then it steadily dropped down into the end of August, the beginning of September, where like kids are all going back to school.
Yeah.
Families still won't take their kids out of school like the first week.
Right.
Like you got to be there for that, and then it kind of peaks then again during the holiday season. Right now, and as of like the last couple of years, it's obviously spikes towards the end of the year type of thing.
Exactly.
In any case, this is going to tie into our DBC engagement question later on that I put. Like, what would motivate you to book a Disney World vacation? It's times of the year where it's lower cost or lower crowds, right? And sometimes they align, and sometimes they don't. So I'd be interested because when I went last summer, I went. It was low cost, but the crowd spiked the week that I went there. But I thought those were really, really interesting. Like, what was your main takeaway from all this, other than just seeing people's vacation habits change?
I mean, I think it kind of is. It's always great to have data behind what you anecdotally think is correct and that sort of thing. And we've seen obviously summer's been slower than in the past. But the other thing I found interesting was that the break point seems to be 2018. We always look back. I think we had like a DBC engagement question a little while ago. It was like, what was like your glory years of visiting Disney? And it seemed like, when they had like Magical Express and Free Fast Pass and all that sort of stuff was it for a lot of people, which was like kind of 2014, 15, 16. But then by the time you got to 19, it was like, oh, these crowds are crazy and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And one thing I did was I looked a little bit at pricing. And I know you've done things like this before, but just to kind of tie into the chart where it's like, okay, back in 2013, the average price of a room at the All-Stars was $85 to $192. That was the range. In 2018, that jumped to $120 to $208, and currently it's at $150 to $235. But if you kind of put them all into 2026 dollars, 2013 was $118 to $267, so the peak was even higher than it is now. But 2018, the lowest point in 2026 dollars is $155, so even more than it is today, going all the way up to $268. So I think it feels like 2018, like that's the point where people are like, this is getting expensive. Like, it's like, and I think it just, to me, it shows another evidence that a lot of people use COVID as the delineator. I think things were changing prior to that.
Yes, they
were. Just COVID sort of like ripped the Band-Aid off of all the changes they wanted to make and kind of changing vacation habits and stuff like that. It kind of accelerated what was already happening. And this data kind of supports that.
Yeah, summers were definitely declining for sure. And there's always a lagging indicator, right?
Yeah.
Like you need to have enough people go and say it's super busy, don't go here.
Yeah.
But people have already booked their vacation for next year. So now they're going to suffer it, right? But then their next one, or them coming back and telling the people that are trying to book their first one, like, don't go here. Like, so it always takes a couple of years to kind of shake out, which is what we were seeing in like kind of, I guess, slow motion until COVID kind of just reset everything. So I still don't mind going during the summer. I just hope that 30 days makes a difference for my vacation this year. So we'll
we always go in the summer. We use that last week of August, which sometimes isn't as bad as like the middle of July and stuff. And it's nice that the parks are open longer hours. You can take midday breaks and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I think you just have to know how to travel then. Yep. But yeah, I guess I don't want to answer the DBC question until you ask it about where to go. So
we'll get there. So if you haven't seen this video, please check it out. Just go to the Touring Plans YouTube channel. It's really fascinating. Len does obviously a much better job kind of going over it. We don't want to like regurgitate it verbatim. So go watch his content and he'll kind of go over. But we want to make everybody aware that it's out there. Maybe not a lot of people were aware or saw it.
Also gives a little bit more background for Len if you don't know him. Like the beginning of the interview is like, why are you qualified to answer this? And he goes off on like 10 minutes. Like, I have a master's in this. I run a company of this. We have a team of people that do this. It's like, okay, you are the person that can answer this. Like,
he's not just the Disney content.
Exactly.
Creator. Yeah. He has degrees in math to back it up. I want to do some construction updates, and I just realized that I do not have my did not refresh my list here. So let me scroll down in our show notes and do a little refresh here. We'll do park by park. So in the Magic Kingdom, we got a couple different things that I want to talk about here. And one that didn't show up that I forgot to put in. So I'm going to go with that one first is they are doing some more facade changes at the Space Ranger spin. I could have sworn I wrote that in, and it didn't. Maybe I put it somewhere else accidentally. Anyway, the facade's completely down. All like, if you remember, all like kind of the neon flare around the entrance and all the stuff that's being taken down. The paint's still up, but they're removing those elements. So that's changing.
And one thing I didn't realize with that, I heard it mentioned, was the sign that was, I guess it was kind of the same sign that was there back even when it was like Delta Dream Flight and stuff, just rethemed. And that's been completely taken off. So it's like it's kind of like a pretty big change. It's changing things that have been there for like decades and decades.
Stuff. I mean, you can see like all the old like concrete and stuff like that. Oh, that's why it's not there. I did put it in, but it didn't sort on the original thing. Okay. So the next thing at Magic Kingdom is there's some interesting work going on in the Haunted Mansion. So there's some facade work, and I believe it's like right behind the graveyard in the standby queue. Did I get that right?
Yes. It's like right by that gravestone that you see where the eyes open and stuff like that. It's like right next to that, like right before you go in the door.
Now, what is your first inclination why they're doing this?
So I'm tying it into another area that I think you got in that they bulldozed the trees in this little area right behind that, but it's not. But then there's still they left trees before you get to the big construction area behind the show building. I think it's all related to reorienting the queue for the Haunted Mansion. I know some people are hoping that's where like a Haunted Mansion bar is going to go or something like that. I don't know if it's for that. I think it's just for the queue, and they're like reconfiguring that and making sure sight lines are good when you're in the queue, and also when you're in like Piston Peak that you can't see the show building and stuff. So I think it's all just related to like what you see when you're going to be in the new queue.
Yeah, so that was the one thing that people weren't expecting. So if you do a top-down view of the Haunted Mansion and you see the green awning of the queue that kind of goes in and then like hockey sticks towards the building, right? So that's where you kind of wrap around towards the building on the standby queue. You can't see it at all, but there's like, the hill with the gravestones that you see as you're going in, and then there's up and there's trees. But previously there was probably a good 20, 30 yards of trees that were it was just forest.
Yeah.
And that kind of blocked the base of the building from like Big Thunder or the riverboat. All those trees are now completely gone. There is a flattened lot back there, essentially. I don't know. I probably should have measured it on Google Maps, but I didn't do that. But it's sizable. It's recognizable. And I'm really excited. Now, I'm just curious why they didn't do more. Why is it that specific shape? So that tells me it's probably Haunted Mansion queue related and not like Piston Peak related.
Right. That's why I was saying there's like that area, but then they still left a whole bunch of trees. And then behind that is where like Villain's Land is going to go and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's just like queue area or something like that related to Haunted Mansion. And
yeah. I'm going to see if I can do this on the fly and measure that space as I'm still talking. In Piston Peak, there's a couple different in the old Rivers of America section. The Keelboat Landing has some permits. I don't know if they're demoing it or changing it. Probably demoing it.
Probably, yeah.
I didn't realize it was still there. And also, the first signs of construction are now showing up. So now they have. Last week we reported that there was like a delivery of like concrete forms. We were guessing they were concrete forms, and they're kind of are. So they're having like a nice, it's like a long shaped area where they're going to put like some concrete where I'm assuming some drainage is going to go, because there's also some piping that was kind of piled up nearby. So this is the first start of like the drainage and everything else that's required for this area. So
it's the first thing that's not demo. It's actually
dirt being moved.
Something. Yeah,
exactly. So that was in there. That was from Bio Reconstruct. So I'm going to attempt to do this measurement here. So it's like, I don't know how big it is, but I'm making a guess because obviously I can't do it over Bio's thing. So it's about 8,500 square feet, a good, 1-bedroom apartment size. That's a really big 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, 8,500 square feet.
I was thinking 850 square feet. So it's like maybe 3 single-family homes, 4 single-family homes, something like that, a 200,000 or 2,000 square foot home, something like that. Anyway, it's sizable. Let's just put it that way. Then the next one in the at Animal Kingdom. This has. I didn't refresh this. No, I don't think I have any updates for Animal Kingdom. No, I don't. Epcot, I don't have any. And then the only other one is in Hollywood Studios. Some Monsters Land stuff. There's just they laid the foundation. Now, you mentioned that you never saw this before. I didn't even know they did this either. They're putting sand on top of it, and they're laying conduit and stuff like that. And I guess they're going to put the foundation on top of that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's what it is. Other people were speculating they're putting down the conduit and then the sand is just to protect it from like machines going over it, but it'll
that's probably a
eventually
better
go
thing,
away.
yeah.
So yeah, I just never seen that method being used before. I was like, what's going on there? But yeah, there's a lot of activity going on over there. The only other thing I saw was it looks like concrete forms and stuff like that are also in or prepping that area of the animation courtyard. The new
Was
area
there? I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to take a look and add that into the list so we can do it. But those are all the construction updates for the week, I believe, Phil. I don't think I missed anything. But BioReconstruct had all the different images up there. So if you're really curious to kind of digging in, go check out his Twitter feed or Blue Sky feed, depending on where you're at. There's some really cool shots. So they're all updated there. Reminder of our social media at the DBC Pod everywhere. And make sure you get on Discord. The link's below in the YouTube comments or anywhere where you can find our stuff. A lot of good discussion going on. There's some planning going on in some of the different monthly things. So people are planning their trips, especially for the summer. We had a conversation, and this is really going to go into our DBC engagement question. It's different like packages. So I won't talk about it now. Anyway, you had something here about fattening up diet Epcot, because I was complaining again. I took advantage, like Len said, this is one of the cheapest ways to go, the highest discounts you could possibly get at Disney World. Obviously, I got to put my money where my mouth is, and I certainly am. But I'm going during a time where there's no festival, and I don't hate diet Epcot, but I'm disappointed with diet Epcot. Okay, so what were your
so the whole thing started actually when a lot of things were getting posted for the first few days of Festival of the Arts. And I started posting that I'm having FOMO for not being there and like pricing down flights and stuff like that. And then you commented that you're disappointed that when you go in the summer, there won't be any festivals. And I think some people, especially I think locals, started chiming in. He's like, actually, I like Diet Epcot because it's like less lines and it's like easier to navigate and that sort of thing.
No.
And then Matt chimed in and say, well, maybe they'll add some booths for the summer this year and stuff, which I think we all agreed they would have announced by now if they were going to do that. But people just started throwing out different ideas for like, okay, maybe it's not going to be a full-on festival, but what are things that could they add to Epcot to kind of, as I say, fattening it up a little bit so that it's not quite as empty. So there's more things for people to do, but would still kind of fit with the theme of they're going for with like Cool Kid Summer and stuff like that. So like,
do you have some of those ideas? Yeah, go, just jump right into it. Cause I have a couple. I don't remember I didn't, I've been sick, so I didn't see a lot of people's responses. So I'll wait to the end for mine.
Yeah. So while I don't think they should do full on food booths and stuff like that and drinking around the world and that sort of thing, cause I don't think that's the vibe they're going for. No. I do think they could have an opportunity. One of the good things with the festivals is they're always the international festival. And it is like kind of get people to explore the countries, especially kids, a little bit more. So maybe if you had something around where it was like, what types of summer treats do they have in these different countries? So whether it's different ice pops or ice cream or gelatos or something like that, and you could go around and maybe get a stamp on a passport as you're trying all the different food going around the countries. So I thought something like that could be fun. People were suggesting if they brought back like Tapestry of Nations or something like that, like a parade that used to go around the World Showcase. I think there's too much stuff there to kind of make a parade work, but maybe I thought they could bring back those cavalcades they did during COVID, where it was kind of like one of the Main Street vehicle type things was driving around with characters and stuff. So you don't need to have the full on parade. Somebody else, I think it might've been Wheezy, suggested doing it on the water, kind of like how they did the flotillas in Animal Kingdom. You could have like boats going around the lagoon with characters and things like that. Those are some of the ideas that people had about ways to kind of add more life to it, make people explore the countries a little bit more, make it a little special, something that only happens during this time, but isn't a full-on festival. I don't know if you had any other ideas.
I mean, I've got a lot here. So all those ideas are great, but those are the type of ideas that should be always going on at Epcot, right? During like the Festival of the Holidays, I always love, my kids, we did it twice, always love doing like the Olaf hunt where you kind of go, it's like a 1 foot Olaf that's hiding in each one of the countries. They should definitely do something like that, even like Cool Kid themed, like, I don't know, pick some character in the water, like Donald Duck in his bathing suit or something else like that, right? And he's hiding in each one of the countries. Do that. You get like, an ice cream, Mickey bar or something like that if you complete it. But I think they definitely should do something like that. They need to get rid of the Encanto show at the
Communicore Plaza. Yeah.
Plaza, excuse me. It's a nice show, but it's never got, and I've always stood around for like 5 minutes to watch it, but I never wanted to stay, right? It's not very well put together. It's a lot of standing room. It's not a lot of shade. And frankly, to me and my children, the show is rather boring because it's just a bunch of singers. They're all talented and the show's nice. It's got a lot of lights, but it's them shouting and playing music and stuff like that, that it's like, but there's nothing special about it. It's just Disney people. There's like no characters. It's just like, I don't know what it needs to change because they've been doing it for what 2 years now? Are we getting on 2 years on this show at this point?
Yeah,
year and a half?
I think so. Yeah, at least more than that, I think.
But like keep the show, but like do some other things on that stage. Like, have some character interactions, have Mickey go up there with Minnie because the meet and greet's right there. I mean, like, there's a lot of cool things that you could probably do. I'm not an entertainment person, but like, use that stage for something else, especially at nighttime. Like, remember at night, like in the concept art, there's supposed to be like, big parties going on there with like lights and music.
Yeah, I mean, that was the whole idea that it would change up and stuff. And like you said, it's been the same show for a while. I thought it was almost like every festival it would be something different. Yep.
You might think that Communical Hall should be changed up. What they did last year, they had like a little DJ booth and like Goofy running around with a bunch of 5-year-olds. That was absolutely fantastic. I think they should have that back and make no changes to that. The room was pretty empty for like things, but plenty of people. Really good seating. The AC in that building was very, very good. And there's a water bottle filling station on the interior side, outside of the interior door, not to the door facing the land pavilion, but on the other side. So it's a great place to kind of relax. Now, I think they should have more food options. I think they should have like summer-filled food options. So there's plenty of ways to put like different desserts all over the place that are frozen, like you mentioned. But do that throughout the park, right? Mm-hmm. There should just be more live entertainment. It shouldn't just be like default Epcot. Epcot should never be like default anything. It should always have something going on. So the new summer festival is Cool Kids Summer, right? But right now, I don't think there's enough entertainment opportunities, at least for children, right? I'm not expecting like, give me the festival of Food and Wine Festival and like make this crazy thing. But the children options are nice, but they're not like prolific. So I would love for them to have that. That would be like their, 5th festival would be the Cool Kids Summer Festival, but like it needs to be more, get some more meat on the bones, so to speak. And they can do that a lot of different ways. It's just characters, snacks, do different things, different entertainment things. That's kind of how I would add it. I like the water pageant the most. I think something that kind of spurts around and races around or something else like that would be pretty cool. But Epcot needs something more because the rides aren't great at this park. I mean, you've got Guardians and you've got a handful of other things. But the park is so big, and in the heat, you do not want to be walking miles in the heat at Epcot. Yeah. You want to be able to take your time going around the park and not crisscrossing that thing because it is very hot.
Maybe that's what they should do is like all the different things you have to go around are all under shade structures.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe a little bit on that one. But would you change anything to like, I mean, I know you usually go towards the end where Food and Wine Festival is starting in August. If Food and Wine only started, let's say at the end of or mid-September, right? It was completely out of the summer. What would you like to see?
I mean, I think the things we're talking about, I really like the idea of making a kids festival and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, the other thing you could do is kind of what they used to do is Food and Wine started a lot earlier, is almost split that into 2 segments. Mm-hmm. And the summer part is with food and drinks aimed around the summer. So you're not having like hot noodle dishes and stuff like that.
Hot cheese soup.
Yeah, and stuff like that. And then you have like a completely another set. Maybe there's a couple things overlap, but like for part 2 of Food and Wine Festival, if they really feel they need the booths and that makes money and stuff like that. But I like the idea of like making it more kid friendly and stuff like that, but still having the things like the scavenger hunts, like you meant, like this passport to get things stamped and having characters around and stuff like that. Just a little more kid focused.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. All right, so we're gonna wrap up with the DVC engagement question from last week. And if you don't remember, it was rank the options for resorts for my stay coming up in the 4th of July timeframe. So last week I priced out a bunch of different things. They were all relatively close. They were all within like $800 total of the stay. And it was the Kidani 1-bedroom villa with 2 bathrooms. Jamba House 1 bedroom, but with only 1 bathroom. Boardwalk, Grand Floridian, Yacht and Beach Club, the Polynesian, and the Contemporary in the main building, not in Bay Lake Tower, but they were all studios. So like 2 queen size beds and a pull down, pull out something for the 5th person, right? So cramped, 1 small bathroom, that type of thing. So I asked everybody to rank their preference. A lot of people said, I've never stayed. So a lot of these, so I don't have a preferences as well. If you never went to any of them, what would interest you the most? So Phil, why don't you go ahead with yours first?
Yeah, so I will say, and I think we asked everybody to do this, that we know your wife is pushing for the 1-bedroom option because she doesn't want to stay in a 5th sleeper or something like that.
I kind of agree with her too.
Yeah, but I took that aspect, or at least your wife's strong opinion
Okay.
out of it, because obviously, happy wife, happy life. So you kind of have to do that. But if she hadn't weighed in yet, I would go for, especially because you're going in the summer, either the Beach Club or Yacht Club would be first because of the pool, proximity to Epcot, proximity to Hollywood Studios and stuff like that. And I just haven't done that before, so I think that would be my first choice. Similarly, I haven't stayed at the Polynesian, so I think that would be really cool, and you're on the monorail loop and stuff like that. Then it kind of like Boardwalk, it's like a lesser version of doing the Beach Club. Then I would do the Kidani and Jumbo House because you get in the 1-bedroom. I put the Contemporary last. We've stayed there. Unless you have like a theme park view, which is really cool to have, but that even if you have it, there's like no shade on those balconies. So it's like really, you can't really even be out there in the summer. So I don't know. It's a neat thing to do once, but I think I would do the other things above that. So that's kind of the ordering I gave it.
So I had a lot, because I don't think I gave my preferences of how I ranked them last week. I don't think. Did I? Am I repeating myself, Phil?
You not especially.
Okay.
I don't think you gave like an official ranking. These were all just things you were thinking of.
Right. So I love Animal Kingdom Lodge. I think it's one of the best resorts there. My wife and I stayed there 2 Novembers ago, right? November of 24, I think, right? Yes, because I didn't go last November. And we wanted to bring our kids there. I think it's the best themed. It's got the greatest music. It's got the greatest food, everything else. Personal preferences, right? So it was Kidani or Jumbo. I almost was leaning to Jumbo just because it's part of the great lobby and everything else like that. I really love that. But the 2 bathrooms won out ultimately, like I said last week. So my number 2 is like, I was kind of like, I'm going to stay at the Polynesian. That's on everybody's bucket list. But then I thought to myself, okay, let's take away the shine of the Polynesian and all these
stuff, like
specialness that people kind of put on there, that type of thing. And I'm like, I don't have any desire to stay at the Polynesian when I think about it, like really, because the place is so crowded because people come there to do it, like it's like a park day for them. They go there and they go to the shops, they go very popular restaurants, Trader Sam's, all this other stuff that like I don't want my resort to feel like the front half or the front entrance of like a theme park, especially like at the pool and stuff. Like it doesn't feel secluded.
Relaxing,
it doesn't feel relaxing, right? It's a lot of traffic. So loved going there. I don't think I would want to stay there at least unless it was like significantly reduced, right? But maybe Sunday on a split stay, just kind of cross it off the list. The next one, like I agree with you, Yacht and Beach Club. I really wanted to do Stormalong Bay, but ultimately the extra space in the bathroom beat out Yacht and Beach Club because it would be one of those 2 would have been our second choice if the rooms were, we had the 1-bedroom option for the same cost at that one. Contemporary, 0 interest in staying at the Contemporary. I don't need to be walking distance to the Magic Kingdom. And frankly, even though Steakhouse 71 is really one of my favorite things, the monorail is really cool. That hotel does not interest me. It's like an airport, right? I mean, it was kind of built to be like that vibe, but like I have no interest of staying there. So it was Kidani was number 1, Yacht or Beach Club. I'm going to put on the same line as number 2, and then probably the third one would be Boardwalk because I still have the Crescent Lake. Like I haven't stayed in any Crescent Lake resorts. And my only regret for picking Kidani is I've personally stayed there already, and I would, if we're going to pay for Deluxe, I wanted the opportunity to cross another one off the list, which is what we're doing at Wilderness Lodge anyway. So let's see what other people are saying. Phil, do you want to go over these?
Sure. So Herdomaniac provided the list, went through it again, and talking about wanting the ones that with the full kitchens, so that he would put Kidani number 1. He puts a lot of value in having a kitchen and being able to like make some of your food and stuff like that. Then if you
don't remember, Herdomaniac is very big at resort only stays at DVC. That's like that's what he loves doing. So I'm with him on that one. I get that.
Then he said the Grand Floridian Deluxe Studios, and then the Yacht Club was his top 3. T.L. Madden he said Jumbo House. He said he felt staying at Kidani was a little bit detached from the main stuff, so he put priority over that versus having the second bathroom. Then also gave Grand Floridian the second spot because of the proximity to Magic Kingdom, and as he said, so elegant, which I guess it is. I don't know if that's what you want or not. Then Polynesian for the fun vibes and having the luau feel and stuff like that. So he said, to him, he puts more about theming and location and less maybe on the space and that sort of thing.
Now, if the new tower at the Polynesian was on the list, that probably be like, how about we stay there? Because that's a really nice place. But that wasn't there. It was the the random
right, because that's only DVC in the tower. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Phil, before we go on. We've got some Grand Floridian votes here. Why is Grand Floridian not on your list?
So I think it just like if I was going to do monorail, it's just because I've never stayed at the Polynesian and I want to do it.
Yep.
Grand Floridian,
you are a tiki person, so
exactly.
I get that, right?
Yeah. And Grand Floridian, I will say the layout of the new route, the updated rooms looks very nice, at least in the villas. It's just not my vibe. As much as I want to, I just don't feel like I could relax there.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't like it. Like, everybody loves the Grand Floridian, but like, it doesn't appeal to me. Like, I don't understand the appeal of the resort. It's like, it's too sterile, in my opinion. But a lot of people like that vibe. So there's nothing wrong with it. That's just my personal opinion.
I mean, like I said, we went to visit and we went to check out the new bar. I think that helps a lot with the vibe and stuff like that. I liked when the band was playing and stuff. I liked visiting. I just don't think I could relax and stay there. So
we will be doing a resort hopping day, I think, at least maybe for like the afternoon or something on one of our days. So I think maybe, unfortunately, I won't be able to try out Trader Sam's with 3 kids tagging along with me. I know they allow children in there during the afternoon, but I would not want to
before 8 o'clock.
I would not want to force 3 children onto anybody in that place. I don't know, but anyway, yeah. So what's next? Who's the next one?
Matt Pato said he loves Kanani and the extra bath is great, but he feels the buses will get old, especially with hopping and stuff like that on a long trip. I know Matt's brought this up before, and he gets that cramming into the beach club is a con, but during the summer with having the pool and being able to hop over to Epcot is really nice. So that's and Boardwalk is actually still his personal favorite. So those are kind of his priorities, but he understands that if you're going to do more resort time, then Kidani makes more sense. But if you're doing a lot of the hopping, which we know you are going to have hoppers, the location of Crescent Lake he would overrule the space in his mind.
So I brought that up to my wife. I was like, hey, anytime we want to go anywhere other than Animal Kingdom, it's a 25-minute bus ride. We have to be okay with doing that. And she's like, I don't care. I want to stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge. I think it's gorgeous, et cetera, et cetera. She was very excited about that. That was her number one pick. So I force her to go to Disney World all the time. I think she's secretly a super fan also, but she doesn't want to admit to me to encourage me at all. As soon as she saw the price of like one thing, she's like, what about Animal Kingdom Lodge? And I was like, well, we could do the Polynesian. What about Animal Kingdom Lodge? So she's like, okay. That's where we're going.
I feel like there's a message you're trying to tell me something there.
So also you have to realize with Matt also, if you're listening to this and you're not on Discord, all of Matt's trip reports always start with he shows up and all the ladies in his party are like getting showered, getting ready, and he's sneaking off, like going to the parks, doing resort hopping while everybody else is like taking naps, whatever.
He has half days in the parks by himself.
He meanders.
Yeah.
And I love that. I wish I could do that, but like my wife would be like, you're not leaving me with these 3 children. I'm like, okay, fine, fair. Or I would be sneaking out and like 2 out of my 3 children guaranteed will be sneaking out with me because I won't be able to sneak out of that room. Because that's what happened when my mother and I wanted to go do like Remy in the morning, grab a cup of coffee together and kind of have like a mother-son type of thing. As I was showering and getting out, she was showering and getting out, and I came out of our room. All 3 kids were like ready to go, dressed, all in shirts and like I can't get them to move quickly any other time. But like here, we were trying to sneak out at like 7 o'clock in the morning. They were like, and we
that's
were
the
at
trick.
the park.
You got to make it so that you don't want them ready.
Yeah, because we were out to like 12:30. Like me and my 3 kids were out late the night before. Like we were back at like 1 a.m. because we closed the parks and everything else. And there they are, fresh and ready to go. But anyway, Matt loves, I don't know how he does it. I'm very envious of his ability to kind of have a little micro adventures as he's like, his family's getting ready to go type of thing. It's good.
Mama Six said first she loves this engagement question. Her first pick is the Grand Floridian. then the Polynesian. Then
she just went there, right? That's her last trip was
yeah.
flirting. Yeah,
that's at least I forget if it was split stay or the whole time there, but yeah, they stayed at the villas though. But yeah, that was I know she really loved that place and the space and the rooms and stuff. Then had Beach Club, Yacht Club, Boardwalk, then Jumbo, Kidani, and then Contemporary at the end. So obviously much more on theming and location.
My ranking's 7 on her list. Should I just refund my whole trip? This is terrible.
This is
terrible.
Listen, honey, I know you said you really want Kidani, but
but this person on the internet said it was her 7th.
Discord has voted. And,
yeah, we got to rebook.
And 2 more left. Lumpy said his top 3, saying that if we're only being able to pick from these lists and everything being equal, he would also pick the Grand Floridian, then the Beach Club, then the Poly. Then he gives a lot more detail about, what the original Poly only has studios and 2 bedrooms. He goes into that. He said if more things were open, and he's getting into DVC and stuff like that. And there was a whole lot of people saying like, well, if you really like all this, if you just put a little bit more money down, you can join DVC and have it. It's like, okay, this went from like a $10,000 trip to like a $30,000 trip. But he said that the tower at the Poly would be his first choice if he could get into there. Then the Beach Club, but it's hard to get the DVC rooms there. And then the Grand Floridian. Again, I think those villa rooms are really nice. They're very spacious, sleep 5. Just not our vibe. So.
Friend of ours just stayed there about a year ago. It's a trip I booked for her.
Yeah.
They're really nice. They got one of those corner tower rooms that added like the like alcove for the tower.
Yeah.
In the room, like adds basically like a dining room into your room, right? So and she requested and they gave it to her, which was absolutely fantastic.
That's
she
awesome.
went in February. So Wheezy's next, but I want to preface Wheezy's thing is he had a whole like there was when I said my pick. Lumpy had some comments about like, hey, I'm also doing a split stay at Wilderness Lodge. And then everybody tried to find a configuration for me that was like, oh, why don't you do like, instead of having to transfer, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? It's going to be cheaper. Why? That's such a crazy thing. And I'm like, it was $100 more a night than Caribbean Beach Resort. And it's only 2 nights. So it's an extra $200. And I can stay at Wilderness Lodge versus Caribbean Beach. That was my thinking. So Weezy's like, all right, how about you do 2 6-day stays? So it's really 12 days, but you don't have to stay for that long. I'm like, no, if I'm paid for 12 days, I'm doing that. And that's way too long. And also it was like another $3,000, right? Yeah. So it wasn't like a couple extra bucks. And then he's like, well, you could do Wilderness Lodge, doing this, that, and the other, two rooms. And I'm like, I'm not doing 2 rooms. And that was also $4,000 more expensive. Or it was thousands of dollars more expensive. I can't remember the right number. So my solution was actually an extra $1,000 just to add on the 2 days. So there's a lot of cool different configurations out there. So like if you always think that like your pick is the cheapest way to go, there's a lot of people that have other opinions on how things could do more expensive. And most of the time they're going to be right than you. Like I happen to just be correct on this instance, but with all the different, all the different options with discounts and stuff like room discounts, dining, kids eat free, the buy 4 get 2, all those type of things. Join Discord and ask. And there's going to be people there that have run the numbers and have spreadsheets already. Like me, I had spreadsheets within 5 hours of these things being ready to go. That can kind of save you a whole bunch of time in math. So hop on Discord and just ask, and then 500 people will be telling you exactly what to do, unsolicited. So what did Weezy say?
Yeah, so rounding it out, and Weezy does really have the right answer. His answer is number 1, Kidani, with the 2 bathrooms. Listen to your wife. Don't cram 5 people into a fifth sleeper. Everyone will be happier. And then he said distant 2 and 3 is the Beach and Yacht Club, taking advantage of the pool and being able to walk to 2 parks.
So you don't understand. I've got a wife that likes to have her space, that likes to be able to use the bathroom, like shower, makeup, brush her teeth, and like peace, and all the chaos happens somewhere else. Now, if my wife is able to get ready and feel relaxed on Disney Vacation, I get to go on more rides and spend more time out in the parks where she's not like, I'm tired and aggravated. And because ultimately she's wrangling the kids in the room and everything else like that. So I'm happy that Weezy agreed with me. Not that I was going to change anything, but I'm excited. So I appreciate everybody kind of chiming in there. We got a lot of different opinions on that. So if you're thinking about Deluxe, this summer is kind of the time to go, because you get free 2 nights, and that's pretty significant discount, assuming that you have more people with you than just 2. So for the next week's DBC engagement, Phil, I'm going to leave it here. What motivates you more to book a Walt Disney World vacation? Are you looking for times of lower crowds? Are you looking for times for lower cost? Assuming everything else is the same, it's not a work-related thing or a school-related thing. It's what kind of motivates you? Because this year, for me, what motivated me was the lower cost. I wasn't going to go this year. My wife just laughed at me when I said that. She's like, I can't keep you away from this place. You knew you were going to go. You're going to find a way. But like, yeah, you know what? With the ticket discount, like, here's my answer, right? This is what we're going to talk about next week, and you're going to be bored because I'm going to answer it the same way. You give me a ticket discount, I'm going to take advantage of it because I don't know the next time Disney's going to offer a buy 4, get 2, or buy something, get something free, right? So I had to take advantage of it. Helps with the larger families. So what motivates you and why? And define lower crowds when you answer this, right? So what is a lower crowd? Does it mean like just after COVID opening lower crowds? Or is it like it's just not like Christmas Day crowds? Right. Or is lower cost like 10% off your room? It's a couple $100 a day, or is it like I saved $3,000 on my vacation with these costs? So I'm interested to see what motivates you and at what scale. Give me some context because that cost can be different for everybody. Cost is different for everybody, right? Like people have different thresholds of what savings means to them. So you don't have to give me an exact number, but that would be cool if you want to do the homework on exact numbers. But like, what makes you flip that switch? And to me, it was $3,000 savings of this trip coming up. Anything else, Phil, that I might have forgotten about? I thought this was going to be a quick show, but it's an hour and 10 minutes.
No, we just didn't mention we did have a new YouTube subscriber, Kiki.
Yes.
So thank you for signing up. And anybody else who's out there and contemplating it, hit that like and subscribe button.
Yes, we really appreciate it. Leave a comment too, because apparently that's what you're supposed to do on YouTube. So with that being said, everybody, thanks for watching and listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Take care, everyone.